Recently, there was a surge in anger in the TCG Yu-Gi-Oh community due to the importation of a very strange card. Well, strange to say the least. For those that don't know, the OCG is Japan and Korea's version of the game, while the TCG is basically the rest of the world's version of the game. Most of the anger comes from the fact that the TCG has a very strange way of dealing with OCG imports, which I'll explain. Normally, a stupid import would draw some ire, but the reason why this card is causing such a fervor is because recently the OCG released the Link Varens pack, which is a special pack that provided a lot of much-needed reprints of expensive cards and provided link support for archetypes for fan-favorite decks, such as Burning Abyss, Christian, Qliphort, Noble Knights, so on and so forth. A lot of these support cards were much-needed support for the Master Rule 4 era. The decks getting this support weren't even necessarily good decks, just decks that are popular and well-liked. I personally had my doubts that this pack would be released in the TCG because the format of the release is kind of strange, as the TCG doesn't have any 4 cards packs to my knowledge, and the rarity distributions were weird as well. However, a lot of people were hyped for this set, as it is genuinely a really good set. However, the TCG decided that instead of releasing the Link Varens pack, they were just going to import the cards as usual. Normally, main OCG sets contain 80-ish cards, while TCG sets contain about 100, meaning that the TCG usually either creates TCG exclusive cards or imports OCG cards from other sets that were not released in the TCG. The specific numbers vary from set to set, but it's been established recently that sets tend to contain 10 OCG imports. While the TCG this time around used 9 of their slots reasonably to import logical import choices from the Link Varens pack, they chose to make their last import this card. Scramble Egg. My first reaction to this card was confusion. I asked myself, why would they import a decade-old card from the 5Ds era? And then I thought to myself, well, for a 5Ds era card, this is pretty alright. Sonic Chick can be used to create a barrier for opponent's beat stick. Maybe in an old meta that would have been alright. Then, just out of curiosity, I looked up when the card was actually printed. To my shock, this was printed in the OCG in 2015. Then I read further and learned that this was printed in Advanced Tournament Winners pack, meaning that this card was a prize for performing well in a OCG competitive tournament. Most people complaining about this card just point out how it's bad/out of date, or how it's a waste of a slot that could have been something useful from the Varens pack, but barely anyone has pointed out that this card was printed in 2015, almost a decade later than it should have been. I looked at the rest of the set, and they're all just 5Ds era cards, and not even good ones. For some reason, the OCG thought giving bad cards as prizes was rewarding. On top of that, they're all printed as commons with 3 normal parallel rares, which don't even really look cool at all. Normally, tournament packs are meant to rarity bump popular cards or reprint them. This ultimately leads me to ask, why did this happen? I'd really like to know.